Welcome back to Update X, where I'll tell you what's been going on in the crazy world of video games over the past week. Uploaded every Monday morning on YouTube and podcast platforms like Apple Podcasts and Spotify. I'm your host, Brennan Reshitar, at The Only Resh on Twitter and basically everywhere else. Today's update 7.2 for July 13th, 2020, where I have a recap of the Ubisoft Forward event from yesterday, or today when I'm recording this. Capcom says its game sales are almost entirely digital, and much more. Let's get into it. So we're going to start with the Ubisoft Forward recap. So that was an event Ubisoft held Sunday, July 12th, where they talked about various games they have coming out soon, like Watch Dogs Legion, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Far Cry 6 was officially announced. So we're going to recap everything they said there. And they started with Watch Dogs Legion, and they had a really cool short film about a resistance group in London in the Watch Dogs Legion universe, and followed by a story trailer for the game. Basically, the premise for the story of Watch Dogs Legion is law enforcement is being activated to quote-unquote establish order in London, and there's a crime syndicate that sells almost everything you can think of on the black market or the dark web. And then it shows where you come in, helping out local citizens and then recruiting them into your resistance. So you can really recruit a ton of different types of people. The examples they gave, there was a construction worker who uses a pipe wrench and a nail gun in combat. There's a drone expert who has drones for every kind of situation. So you can really go around London in Watch Dogs Legion and talk to different kinds of people and recruit a wide variety of members into your resistance in the game. That's launching October 29th, 2020 for Xbox One, PS4, and PC. It'll have next-gen versions at some point. No date was given specifically for those. And then they said Brawlhalla is coming to iOS and Android on August 6th with crossplay between everything. Tom Clancy's Elite Squad is a new mobile game that they announced. Coming soon, no date given for that though. I know a lot of people could care less about another mobile game, but that's another thing they got coming. And then they went into Hyperscape. They gave a background story trailer for it. There's actually a cool story behind Hyperscape. It could be interesting if it becomes a live service thing, where they have live events that affect the story, or give us more context into the story. And an open beta is available now for all PC players, with a free 30-tier battle pass. So, as opposed to the closed technical test that they had before earlier this month, it's an open beta for all PC players now, which is cool. So get into that, check it out. And then they talk a little bit about next-gen tech and how Ubisoft is taking advantage of it. They had Phil Spencer, who's the head of Xbox, if you don't know, saying that Watch Dogs Legion is a part of Smart Delivery. So if you buy it for Xbox One, you will get a free upgrade to Xbox Series X. I don't think there was a confirmation if the PlayStation version of the game is going to do the same thing, but I would assume that's the case. And then we finally got some Assassin's Creed Valhalla gameplay. Actual gameplay this time. One of the devs talks a little bit more about the story of the game and the story of Vikings as a whole. So the footage they showed of gameplay said in-game footage, work in progress, so it's not finalized, but it looks pretty close. Talked about raids a little bit, where if you're going down a stream or a river in whatever the boats are called in that game, if you see a spot on the shoreline, a little village or something, you can just dock your boat right there and raid the village. The raids look really fun, actually. You use resources that you get from raids to improve your settlement. And they talk about making allies across different lands, and in your settlement you'll have a map that shows you which allies you have in which locations. So kind of spreading your allies around and making sure you have, I guess, people either from your settlement or allies in all kinds of different locations. And they talk about some combat a little bit. They've got the largest variety of enemies in any Assassin's Creed here. And it looks like there's incredible variety in combat as well. You can dual wield any two weapons you want, including just having two shields, and that's it, because why not? They said they wanted to introduce a lot of new mechanics into the combat in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. It does look like the combat's pretty fun in this one. And talking about stealth, they're bringing back social stealth, which in the initial Assassin's Creed games, where you could go into a crowd and kind of just blend in, where specifically in the first Assassin's Creed, you'd put your hood up and go in a group of 4 priests as like a 5th one and just walk with them, so you look like you're part of that group. And social stealth is going to be back in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which is a very welcome return. I do miss that mechanic. And they talk about exploration and hunting and fishing to gather more resources to increase your health and stuff like that. In some of the gameplay they showed, there was a fight with this massive wolf that was like 3 times your size. That was insane. They talk about assaults, where you can lead your army into battle into Saxon fortresses, which is like raids, but you're going into an entire fortress and having this huge kind of war thing, which also looks really cool. The battles, or assaults, and the raids both look really cool in this game. We also got a release date for it. November 17th is when this is releasing. For Stadia, PC, PS4, and Xbox One, and obviously will release on Xbox Series X and PS5. But since neither of those consoles have a release date yet, that wasn't a date that was confirmed, because we don't know if those consoles are going to be out already by November 17th or if we're still going to be waiting for them. So messaging has to be kind of weird with games that are coming out this holiday, since the release dates for those consoles haven't been revealed yet. And then we got the official announcement for Far Cry 6. It was leaked a few days ago, but now we got a cinematic trailer. So if you haven't seen any of the leaks or anything like that yet, Giancarlo Esposito, who played Gus Fring from Breaking Bad, he is the main antagonist in this game. And he's the president of whatever country they're in. I didn't see a name for the country. Looked like somewhere in South America or something like that. And he's got a son, and they're living in this big, I don't know, mansion kind of thing. And when the leaks first came out, there was talks about the kid, or Far Cry 6 possibly being a prequel, because the kid kind of looks like he could be a younger version of Voss, who is the main antagonist in Far Cry 3. And I think that was mainly just going off of a scar that's on his eyebrow. I would believe it, though, actually. It would be a really cool setup for this game. So the cinematic trailer starts, the kid is putting together some kind of toy car in their house, and Giancarlo's character comes in and starts talking to him. He calls the kid either Diego or Amigo. I'm not sure which one, because the subtitles said both of those at different times, because the subtitles were just bad. But Giancarlo's character is the kid's father. He gives the kid a grenade and tells him about the grenade and how there's 4 parts. There's the pin, all this other stuff. And he puts the grenade in the kid's hands and he pulls the pin. So the kid's just sitting there holding this grenade. And he's like, the grenade doesn't go off unless you let go. And then he compares the country that he's the president of to the grenade, where as long as they're holding on to it, it won't go boom, basically. Because there's a bunch of riots and stuff like that going on. It seems like people really don't like the president of this country. So all the riots going on down below, because they're looking down on everything happening from up on top of a building. And where was it? Yeah, Giancarlo kind of tells the kid to drop the grenade on the people down below who are rioting and all that stuff. The trailer ends, he's kind of like moving his fingers, but it doesn't show him letting go. But that's how that went. It seems like the story is going to be pretty intense with this game. It has a release date of February 18th, 2021. Pre-orders are available now. And there was a tweet from Wario64 who listed out some of the different editions and stuff like that. So there is a collector's edition, which includes a ton of stuff. If you pre-order the game, you get a weaponized disc launcher in the game, and there's this little wiener dog thing that is kind of an ally, I guess. It's really, you have to see the picture that I'm going to have up for people watching on YouTube. And the different editions of it, oh yeah, there's an additional description of the game as well, saying, oh, Caribbean island is what it is, so it wasn't South America. The Far Cry franchise has always had a flair for fascinating antagonists, and they're talking about Giancarlo Esposito, being President Anton Castillo in the game, a violent leader who grips the island Viara with an iron fist. Promising a return to its former glory with an arsenal of weapons and allies at your back, you'll take on Castillo's regime and fight for the future of Yara. Far Cry 6 is coming to Xbox Series X, PS5, Xbox One, PS4, Stadia, and PC, February 18th, 2021. And you play as Dani Rojas, which is playable as a female or a male character, according to this. You will help stoke the fires of revolution through guerrilla warfare across the island Viara, from verdant jungles to the urban streets of the capital city, Esperanza. You'll use a powerful array of weapons and vehicles and build a network of allies to fight alongside you, including fangs for hire like Chorizo, the dangerously distracting wiener dog, which is what I was just talking about. As President Castillo prepares his son Diego, so it is Diego is his name, played by Anthony Gonzalez, to succeed him, you will do all you can to ensure his plans don't come to fruition. So yeah, again, Far Cry 6 is available now for pre-order. Players who purchase the game on Xbox One or PS4 will be able to upgrade their version to the Series X or PS5 respectively at no cost. Pre-ordering will unlock the Libertad pack, which includes the Libertad outfit for Chorizo, as well as the Discos Locos, which is that disc launcher I was talking about. And there's going to be 4 editions of the game. The standard one, which is just the game. The Gold Edition, including the base game and the Season Pass. The Ultimate Edition, which will include the base game, Season Pass, and the Ultimate Pack, which includes Jungle Expedition Pack, the Croc Hunter Pack, and the Vice Pack. The Collector's Edition will include the base game, Season Pass, the Ultimate Pack, a high-end replica of Tostador, an in-game flamethrower weapon, 7 parts to be assembled. Yeah, so you get a physical, not a real flamethrower, but a flamethrower prop thing. A unique collector's case based on Tobatron's iconic art style, an included steelbook, a 64-page art book, a set of 10 stickers, a Chorizo keyring, a map, and a selected soundtrack. I think that one was $200 if I remember right. So yeah, February that's coming out. That one looks really good. I played Far Cry 3 and 4 a lot. Played Far Cry 5 a little bit. I never finished that one. But this one looks like it's going to be much better than the previous game. Very intense story, it looks like. And when it initially leaked, a few days ago before this, when they talked about it being a possible prequel with the child looking like Voss, even though his name is Diego here. Again, we'll have a free upgrade for next gen. I was making these notes as I was watching the Ubisoft Forward event, so if I'm jumping around a little bit, that's why. And then after the Ubisoft Forward event, that was the main show. The post-show, they had 30 minutes of more Valhalla gameplay. So if you want to look at that, there's plenty of that up online for you to see, and a lot of different gaming outlets and gaming journalists have been playing Valhalla, so we have a lot more insight to how the game is. Devolver Digital also held a digital event last Saturday where they showed off a few upcoming games. I'm getting the list of info from Dean Takahashi at VentureBeat. They showed something called Revolverland Expo, which is this weird game where you go into an abandoned convention hall, which they're mocking the lack of E3 this year, and see abandoned booths and trailers for games and stuff like that. But it is an actual game you can play. It's free on Steam. I feel like it's something you have to play to really wrap your head around. It looked really interesting. And then they showed Shadow Warrior 3, which is another installment in the story of a fallen corporate shogun who wields guns and samurai weapons. Devolver said the game would vault the franchise forward with a, quote, fuckton of new additions like brutal executions and, quote, buckets of blood coming in 2021. It kind of interested me a little bit, so I looked up Shadow Warriors 1 and 2 because I'd never really heard of the games before then. And I ended up buying the collection, which is on sale for another week, for like $20. You can get the first 2 games. Having fun with it so far. And then they showed Weird West, which is a role-playing game that twists established conventions of the old frontier with surreal fantasy. It has 5 customizable characters that you can use to create your own story and fight the locals. That one's coming in 2021. And after that, they showed Blightbound, which is a co-op dungeon crawler side-scrolling action RPG set in a fantasy world, launching July 29th on Steam Early Access. And then came Carrion, I'm pretty sure it's pronounced, which is a reverse horror game where you play as an escaped experimental creature based on classic Metroidvania design. The side-scrolling title features a blob-like monster that eats things and gains new powers and tears and slithers its way into restricted areas through air ducts and other gaps to cause mayhem for humans. So, reverse horror game meaning you are the horror part of the game. And that's coming July 23rd to Switch, PC, and Xbox One. And then they showed Disc Room, which asked the question, what if the saw blade aisle in Home Depot was a massive labyrinth and also the saw blades were mobile and have their own special way of trying to kill you? That's all the description they really gave, and I think all the description you really need for that game. Coming 2020, doesn't have a specific release date. And then we've got Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout, which is a cute take on Battle Royale. This looks like the most absurd, dumb fun you can have. I'm just going to keep going with the description for it. Dozens of players stumble through various competitions in a multi-stage game show. So it's like a battle royale, but like Wipeout, if you remember that TV show that also had a game, I think, at some point. Only one jelly bean contestant among 60 players can survive the wacky physics and colorful chaos. Again, this just looks like the most dumb fun you can have, and I want it so bad. Coming to PS4 and Steam August 4th. I really wish it was coming to Xbox also because that's where most of my friends play, but I want to get it anyway because I have PS4. And we saw Serious Sam 4, where thousands of enemies will charge you, but you've got an arsenal of firearms. It's another alien slaughtering title from Croatian game studio Croateam. That one's coming in August on Stadia and Steam. And lastly, we got Olegia, a side-scrolling game that is an action-adventure about Faraday's quest. You're armed with a harpoon in the mysterious country of Terraphage, and you're trying to get back to your homeland. That one's coming fall 2020. So a couple good announcements there, a couple ones that I'll probably never look at again. But Devolver Digital does have some interesting games, for sure. And after that, we've got Capcom saying that 80% of its games are sold digitally. I'm getting this info from Matt T.M. Kim at IGN. So during the Q&A portion of its recent annual shareholders meeting, Capcom was asked what its plans were for strengthening digital sales. And this is when Capcom reported that 80% number, as well as saying, quote, while it ultimately depends on how our customers behave going forward, for the time being we are promoting our digital strategy with an objective of 90%, since there are some customers who prefer to own discs. And as reported by GamesIndustry.biz, Capcom's digital sales last year were just 53.3%, which is almost 30% less than this year. And even Capcom predicted growth to only reach 75.4% this year, but it appears that the shift to digital is happening faster than anticipated. And obviously it's not only happening for Capcom. Digital sales for most publishers and just games as a whole have been increasing a lot over the past few years. And these upward trends explain why both Sony and Microsoft are looking at releasing digital-only next-gen consoles. Sony already revealed the slimmer digital-only PlayStation 5, while Microsoft is rumored to announce Lockhart, a similarly digital-only Series X. Again, now Lockhart isn't announced yet, and I don't think it's going to be announced at the July 23rd event, but that's not a whole story I'm going to get into. After that, we've got Manticore will pay DIY game creators $3 per daily player. So I'm going to get into some background for this story in a minute. This one's also from Dean Takahashi at VentureBeat. So for some background, Manticore Games is the developer behind Core, which is a free game creation platform where you can build your own multiplayer levels and game modes while using assets that you make or collaborating with other creators. And you and the rest of the community can play your levels and levels from other creators. So it's this cool free thing to make your own multiplayer games without having to deal with a lot of coding like you would usually have to do. And jumping back to the article, it says this is a pilot version of the monetization process, and the company will make more than $1 million available during the testing period of the program. Manticore wants to disrupt creativity in game making in the same way that YouTube revolutionized video creation and Instagram forever changed photo sharing. That was said by Manticore CEO Frederick Descamps in an interview with GamesBeat. He wants people to build businesses and make a living through the games they create on Core, which requires little or no coding. Manticore announced in September that it had raised $30 million in funding to build out Core. Manticore designed the Creator Payouts pilot program to be simple. Each calendar month, creators in the program can receive $3 per average daily player. This will be calculated by taking the daily number of unique users who log into games and averaging them across that month. This is a little complicated, but trying to get it a little bit simpler. This means that if a creator has 500 unique users log into their games every day, which do not need to be the same players every day, the creator could receive $1,500 after the end of the month. If the average is 1,000 users, the creator could receive $3,000 at the end of the month. This system aligns the interests of both Manticore and the creators, Descamps said. Creators won't have to spend their time creating a vast number of microtransactions, they can just focus on making the games fun to play. The Creator Payouts pilot program started with 100 spots last week, of which the company had already invited nearly half. Descamps said this monetization step is the first towards giving creators a wide range of ways to make money, including player-to-creator memberships, direct donations, and revenue sharing. The company also runs regular contests to surface the best games, and it highlights them on social media to stir interest. The PC-based game has been in alpha testing for 4 months, and Descamps said he has been blown away by the growth of the creator community and the kind of games they're creating. So this is really good to see. Core bringing more accessibility to creating video games, of course, with the little to no coding thing, and now letting players get compensated for that work. But as far as how much money this really is for the work that's put into it, I'm not really sure. I haven't seen any creators reacting to this yet, whether this is just chump change for the amount of work that's put in, or if it's a pretty fair compensation. But the fact that monetization is even getting added to this is awesome either way. Because when the game first came up, you could just make the games and like you weren't getting paid for it, you just made it just for fun to make the game. So any compensation is better than none, even if this is not that much money for what they're making. And going on to some rapid fire stories, which is where I give shorter versions of stories that don't need a whole in-depth conversation in this episode. The PS5 box art was shown for Spider-Man Miles Morales and Godfall recently, with a white PS5 logo on the top instead of blue, but the case is still blue. So that was an interesting thing that came up in the last few days. Also, the creators of Left 4 Dead have revealed a new piece of concept art for their new spiritual successor to Left 4 Dead, called Back 4 Blood. It's a next-gen cooperative FPS very similar to Left 4 Dead, but with a whole lot of new stuff which makes Back 4 Blood unique. No release date or release window or anything has been given for that yet. And this next one is just a patent that was filed a year ago, so I don't want anyone putting any weight to this. It's just a small possibility. So it was a patent filed by Sony last year for an emulation system supporting PlayStation 1, 2, and 3 titles, where the games can be stored and used via the cloud gaming library, which is similar to what PlayStation Now does with PS2 and PS3 games. But PS Now uses a custom-built PS3-based server rack rather than emulation. So emulation from the cloud would have input lag and stuff like that, so it is different from PlayStation Now. And again, this could very well just be a patent that never amounts to anything, which is one of the reasons I didn't want to put a whole story about it, because it could be nothing, as rumors go. Also, Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning got an official announcement following the leak earlier this year. The remaster is coming to PS4, Xbox One, and PC on September 8th, 2020. The standard edition with all previous DLC included will be $40, which you can pre-order most places now. And the Fate edition will be $55, but isn't listed for purchase yet. And that will include the brand new DLC expansion called Fatesworn, which isn't set for release until sometime in 2021, as well as all of the previous DLC included in the standard edition. And the collector's edition is $100 for PC and $110 for console for some reason, which includes everything in the cheaper editions, as well as an Alan Shear collectible statue and a few other things. That edition is currently sold out, but it's likely to come back in stock soon. And going on to gaming events this week, Only got a couple things. July 14th will be the next Stadia Connect event at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Very exciting, I know, more Stadia stuff. July 20th will be the Summer Game Fest Developer Showcase, where you can tune in for updates on upcoming independent and larger scale studio projects. And going on to gaming deals, today is the last day for Xbox's EA Publisher Sale, with up to 75% off EA titles like The Sims 4, Jedi Fallen Order, Battlefield 5, and more. I noticed that most deals that say up to 75% off usually include games that are 80 to 85% off too, so keep that in mind. Today is also the last day for Xbox's Couch Co-op sale, with up to 75% off co-op games like Soul Calibur 6, Borderlands games, and a bunch of LEGO games and more. And today is also the last day for Xbox's Celebration sale for NatCon Connect, with up to 80% off games like The Sinking Sky, Warhammer Chaos Bane, Farmer's Dynasty, and more. PlayStation has a July savings deal with up to 50% off games like Bloodborne, No Man's Sky, Ghost Recon Breakpoint, and more until July 22nd. PlayStation's Multiplayer Days sale is still going on, with up to 70% off games like The Forest, Battlefield 5, A Way Out, and more. That deal ends July 15th. PlayStation's Deal of the Week is 84% off Dragon Ball FighterZ Ultimate Edition, which is a $110 game that's on sale for $18, which is insane. That deal ends July 16th. So Dragon Ball gamers, if you want that game, you get, 80-something dollars off? Yeah. So great deal for that. Nintendo has a Game Mill Super Summer Sale with up to 75% off games like Nickelodeon Kart Racers, Cartoon Network, Battle Crashers, Zombieland Double Tap, and more until July 29th. And going on to new releases via Metacritic, it is a really good week for releases. Excuse me. Halo 3 is getting added to the Master Chief Collection on PC July 14th. Death Stranding, the previous PS4 exclusive, comes to PC July 14th. Rocket Arena releases July 14th for Xbox One, PS4, and PC, which is that Rocket's only 3v3 shooter that was revealed at the EA Play event last month. Beyond the Steel Sky releases July 16th for PC. Bounty Battle releases July 16th for Xbox One and PS4, which is like Super Smash Bros., but the fighters are all from indie games like Guacamelee, Dead Cells, Psychonauts 2, and more like that. Also, Superhot's new content drop called Mind Control Delete releases July 16th for Xbox One, PS4, and PC. If you've already purchased the game before that drops, meaning you can also still purchase it before July 16th, you get that content for free. Unless you own the VR version. The VR players don't get it for free. Also, if you got it from Xbox Games with Gold, that doesn't count. You have to purchase the game. I found that out yesterday. And Ghost of Tsushima releases July 17th for PS4. I'm so excited to play that game. I have it pre-ordered and downloaded already. Paper Mario The Origami King releases July 17th for Switch. So really good week for releases coming up. And hopping into what have I been playing, Destiny 2, because that's just a weekly thing I do now. I tried some raids with 4 and 5 people that I know, which usually is a 6-person thing. And raids are no joke. Not for difficulty as much as just having the number of bodies to do the puzzles and all that. Then I tried some Crucible for the first time in forever. That went very okay. I tried more of that EA side-scroller Unravel. I thought I would have liked that game a bit more. Some of the checkpoints and mechanics I wasn't a fan of, so I ended up just uninstalling the game, actually. And more of the Crash Bandicoot Insane trilogy. Still stupid hard on some levels. Pretty much only playing it because I bought it at this point. I forgot about the whole deal when it first came out of everyone complaining how much harder it was than the original trilogy. Because they tweaked a bunch of things when they had this remaster, I guess. So I just expected it to be more chill. But speaking of hard games, I finally started Cuphead. And I knew going in that Cuphead's hard, so I'm actually enjoying that one. After playing the first round of levels on the first island or whatever the locations are called, I thought the game wasn't as hard as I expected it to be. And so I was like, this is going to be easy. I won't even have any trouble with this game. And then I got to the second section, and currently I'm getting absolutely slapped by those levels, so I found the difficulty now. But I'm definitely up for that. I'm still enjoying the game anyway. I can only play for like an hour or two at a time. More Rocket League, of course. I finished the last of the challenges for the season for the Rocket Pass. My Rocket Pass level's at like 170 something. So I definitely got my money's worth for that. Rocket League has one of the best, if not the best, season pass / battle pass systems, or whatever you want to call it, that I've seen. Because you earn credits that you can use to buy the next season's Rocket Pass, and they have good challenges for the most part to earn levels. I just think it's really well done. Between them and Apex Legends, I think they have the best battle pass systems from what I've seen. I think Call of Duty's sucks, honestly. I didn't get that one. And I also started and finished Fe, I think is how you say it. The title's just F-E. Because I own that with EA Access. That was a pretty fun little game, actually. I like the art style. One or two bad signposting moments, but you can call a little bird to point you in the right direction if you need it. I definitely recommend that game, especially if you have EA Access, because then you have the game already. And as I said earlier, I've been playing... I got Shadow Warrior 1 and 2, because the third one's coming out whenever they said that was next year. That one's alright so far. I just played it last night, so I don't have a whole lot to say about that one. And a quick update for the show for the next few weeks. As I said before, last episode, I am moving in the beginning of August, so I'm going to be getting pretty busy. As long as I have time and internet, I will still try my best to get the weekly episodes up. Just won't be any bonus episodes, most likely. I don't anticipate not being able to do another episode next week, so that should be fine. But August 3rd is when there might not be an episode because I'm moving that weekend right before that day. I will keep you all updated in each episode, and I'll post any updates you need to know on the show's Twitter page at UpdateXShow. And also I started a Discord for listeners of the show, or people that just like video games and want to talk about them. I post updates about the show there as well, along with gaming deals, and there's channels for predictions, video games in general, all that stuff. If you want the invite link to the Discord, just send me a DM on Twitter or Instagram at UpdateXShow, or my personal pages at TheOnlyResh, or tweet at UpdateXShow or my TheOnlyResh page. So this has been your update 7.2 for July 13th, 2020. Thank you so much for watching on YouTube or for listening on podcast platforms like Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you want to get more frequent gaming news posts from me in between episodes, you can follow the show's page on Twitter at UpdateXShow. You can also give me any feedback or suggestions you have about the show while you're there. Outside of game news, I post gaming clips for fun on TikTok at TheOnlyResh and other news stuff if you want to check that out. And I also go live there when I record my episodes, which I am right now. But as I've said before, I might start doing it on Twitch instead. But that probably won't be until like next month sometime. And my personal Twitter page is also at TheOnlyResh, where I post non-strictly news-related stuff. As always, thank you so much for choosing UpdateX for your gaming news. I'll see you next Monday morning. Have a great week.